Jury deliberations are underway in the Johnny Depp and Amber Heard defamation trial. Depp sued his ex-wife after she wrote a 2018 op-ed describing herself as a domestic abuse victim. During closing arguments, Depp's lawyers accused Heard of lying, saying she gave the performance of her life. Heard's lawyers urged the jury to give Heard her voice back and to stand up for victims of domestic abuse. For more on this, I want to bring in Jesse Weber. He's an anchor for the Law and Crime Network. Jesse, thanks for joining us. As a threshold matter, what is the legal question the jury is deciding?
It's all about defamation. It's all about whether or not there was actual malice. That is a key term here. What that means is, did someone make a statement knowing it was false or with reckless disregard for the truth? So whether or not Amber Heard did that in the Washington Post article, whether or not Adam Waldman, Johnny Depp's attorney, the statements that he made that are the center of the counterclaims that Amber Heard has filed against Johnny Depp, it is all about actual malice, which I must tell you, for public figures, is a very high standard to meet. And so as much as we talk about what is happening outside this courtroom, the public affair, the public opinion, the legal question is much more specific and much more tough.
Well, I'm glad you raised that. It does sound like it's a very high legal standard. So on Friday's closing arguments, which ones were more persuasive?
See, that's a tough question because I thought both sides were great. And I think they highlighted the important aspects of their case. Johnny Depp highlighting the fact that why would he do this? Why would he put his whole life on display if not for telling the truth? The idea of suggesting that Amber Heard, during their closing arguments, they interspersed the audio tapes of her berating Johnny Depp, admitting to hitting him, trying to reframe the narrative of him as the victim and her as the abuser. And then Amber Heard's side did a fantastic job by saying, if the jury finds just one instance of abuse, psychological, mental, emotional, verbal, he loses this case. And it's not fair to blame victims for not reporting, not taking injuries, not, ultimately seeking medical attention. They both highlighted the strengths of their case. And it's going to be a tough case. I really do believe it's going to be a tough job for this jury.
So does either side have an advantage as the case goes to the jury?
Well, look, the advantage, I would say, for Amber Heard goes into Johnny Depp's defamation claims. I really do think it's a high bar for him to win. I will say the headline of the defamation, or the Washington Post article, the sexual violence component, that might be the only part where I could see the jury actually siding for Johnny Depp. In terms of Amber Heard's counterclaims against Johnny Depp, it's a problem for her. I think there's a strong argument that his attorney was maybe doing the proper due diligence and legitimately believed her allegations were fake after interviewing a number of people. It's a tough case in defamation, and it's a tough case for both sides.
So you've been following this from the very beginning. What was the biggest moment in your view, and which side benefited most?
It was the videotape of Johnny Depp smashing the cabinets and the audio tapes between the couple. There's one thing for what he says on the stand, she says on the stand, this witness, that one. The audio tapes and the videotape, I believe the jury's going to focus so much on, because it was a moment in time that captured what was happening between the couple behind closed doors. I mean, you can't forget what we all saw and what we all heard between.
Okay, so that sort of non-public view, that evidence. So were there missteps for either side?
I have to tell you, I was very surprised at what I heard today from Elaine Brederhoff, who is Amber Heard's side. At the conclusion of the closing argument, she said, even though we're suing for $100 million, it's okay if you don't go $100 million. We don't expect you to go there. I don't know why she said that. I thought that was a little bit of a strange aspect. I will also tell you that Johnny Depp's side did not spend a lot of time today poking holes at Amber Heard's witnesses who testified on her behalf. They were focusing more on the fact that if you believe Amber Heard, then that means that all of the witnesses who have testified on our side are liars in supporting Johnny Depp. It's a good argument, but maybe they didn't spend enough time trying to poke holes in Amber Heard's witnesses. So
I just want to back up 1 second, because you said something that really caught my attention. Are you saying that the verdict here has a direct impact on Amber Heard's countersuit?
It can, right? So think about it like this. If the jury comes back and they say, you know what, she is not liable for defamation, we do not believe that she made these statements up in the Washington Post, then the second question is, well, if that's the case, then Johnny Depp knew these statements were false. His attorney knew these statements were false. Why did they go out and say that all these allegations were a hoax? Now, I do see a scenario where they could both lose their case. I see a scenario where they could both win their case. But the point that I'm making is that is not a very long mental leap for them to make if they decide first his case and then hers.
So if you had to crystal ball it, what does the trial mean for their careers?
Okay, that's the $50 million, $100 million
right.
question. If I'm looking on the outside, everybody I've been speaking to out here, Johnny Depp maybe has a second chance at a career. Amber Heard has such a mouth. I mean, there's two Amber Heard supporters I've met out here. It just feels like when you look at social media, you look at the public response, it's going to be very hard for her to build her reputation back, even if she were to win this case. It's a tragic story. Let me just say that. It's a real tragedy. I know there's a celebrity aspect, but we're dealing with real issues, drug abuse, substance abuse, domestic abuse. It's a really sad sight to see for both of these parties.
Jesse Weber, thank you for your terrific analysis. We appreciate it.
Thank you so much for having me.